My ex said I left him because he wasn't born privileged, but I just refused to wake up at the crack of dawn to serve his entire family. Now he's marrying someone who will respect his mom and give him the traditional BS he wants. Posted by u/GarageFuzzy4367. For context, I, 23F, left the country 2 years ago just after college graduation. I also broke up with my ex, 24M, because I didn't want to do long distance, and our beliefs no longer aligned. We both come from the same culture and dated throughout college, but while I wanted to move abroad and study further, considering the safety of women in my home country, his plans were to stay and take care of his family. We were both the eldest children in our families. Neither of us was technically willing to adjust. However, what made me break up with him was that he turned into a completely different person during the last months of our relationship. He wanted me to act like a traditional woman if we were to have a proper family. He would constantly say things like, "Women have historically adjusted for their loved ones. Can you say every single woman was unhappy about it? And, why are you so selfish? Does our future not matter to you? Do you trust me enough to take care of you?" He even got his mom and sister to call me, ask if I was ready for them to approach my parents about marriage. Luckily, my dad handled it because rejecting a match, especially when the couple has dated beforehand, can cause a scandal in my community. It felt like I was expected to sacrifice my happiness for the sake of tradition. I also didn't grow up in a conservative family like him, and my parents told me to get the hell out of the relationship. So, I broke up with him. Our friend groups were merged, but everyone decided not to take sides, so there was no drama. I've been single for the last 2 years, traveled a lot, and now plan to get residency here after a few years. This was my first time returning home in 2 years because my cousin just had a baby. I didn't intend to see or call my ex, but I met up with my college friends. Most of them, including my ex, live in my hometown, so I knew that if I wanted to see all my friends, I'd have to see him. It was so awkward. We were both silent, just nodding at each other, and I thought that would be the end of it. But one of his friends, who is a bit of an asshole, started talking about my ex's fiancé. He said, I'm so glad you left him because you didn't want to be happy in our traditional families. Now another will get to experience the real meaning of family, joint Indian family." I just laughed it off awkwardly, and a couple of people shushed him. My close friends were very embarrassed and promised that neither my ex nor that guy would be invited again. But later, my ex sent me a text. He got a new number, saying that his friend was only defending him because I was flaunting my new life and trying to hurt him, and that I dumped him just for a better degree. I told him, "This is exactly why I left you," and I blocked him. The thing is, I felt guilty about this for the last 2 years. While I know I did the right thing for my career, maybe I could have tried harder not to hurt his feelings so directly. I feel horrible for his fiancée, since both of them know he doesn't love her, arranged match, and I feel like if I'd had a better approach, maybe another person wouldn't have been added to the mix. I feel like I was heartless, as my ex says, for breaking up with him just because of our different beliefs. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. You dodged a bullet and have the support of your family. He's not your person. It's 2024, I don't care what country you are from, arranged marriages are outdated. Even traditional is different now. OP, I'm from India. Arranged marriages happen a lot, trust me. In response to a downvoted commenter suggesting OP could settle down, get married, and have children while maintaining her career. OP, I don't see a problem if, at 40 years old, I'm unmarried, child-free, and a cat lady. I don't think anyone, man or woman, should follow social norms that cause them unhappiness. There's no need for women to necessarily become wives and mothers if they don't want to, just because society thinks they should. But thank you, I've traveled a bit, and I don't think I'll be settling down anytime soon. OP explaining how arranged marriages work in her culture. OP, I never said arranged marriages are forced. However, a lot of it depends on who your parents are. Most people in small towns and Tier 2 cities don't have the privilege, especially without a high-paying job, to just go on dates and figure out if they like someone. You're talking about a small section of people who choose arranged marriages. Plus, for many people, like my ex, it might not be forced, but they agree to marry without loving that person, just because they have to marry someone. And this practice isn't just restricted to India. I never said arranged matches were forced. But if you aren't privileged or come from an ultra-conservative family like my ex, you don't necessarily get a choice about when to marry or, for many women, who to marry. OP explaining her community background and cultural context. OP, we come from a mostly progressive community, Bengalis, and we both grew up in a Tier 2 city. However, my parents, especially my dad, are very liberal, and so are both sides of my family. Most of my cousins live abroad or in different states, and many of them have married people outside our community. My ex comes from a prominent business family, but they are very, very religious and conservative. They're based in his ancestral village, and most women in his family have hardly even gone to college. His family believes that, because they are rich, their women don't need to study further and can simply live a life of luxury. I didn't know these things when we first started dating. And to be honest, many ultra-religious people are still like this, no matter the town or city. I'm just glad I left, no matter what he says. Update. 3 days later. I wasn't planning to post an update. I just wanted to ask the internet, a stupid place to go, I know, because I needed a neutral opinion. The people around me either hate my ex or hate me. I'm still at my parents' house, and I told my dad what happened at the gathering. He chalked it up to my ex being jealous and insecure and told me not to interfere or feel sorry for his fiancée. His reasoning was that if she's marrying him, she must know what she's getting into. After blocking my ex a couple of days ago, I found the courage to ask him, through a mutual friend, to meet up. I didn't go alone. Our mutual friend was there the entire time in case there was a shouting match or a scene. We never had closure after I broke up with him. I just left. And while I told him why I was breaking up with him, I never addressed all our problems, when I fell out of love or how he started to feel like a suffocating presence because of his judgment towards my life choices. We met at our friend's house. He apologized for his friend's behavior and said his friend was just being protective. I told him I didn't care and that I was sorry if I hurt him so badly that even after getting engaged, he was still mad at me. I know some people might call me a doormat for saying sorry, but I did it for my own peace of mind. I don't want to carry any regrets on my end. My ex didn't scream, but he looked agitated and spoke for a while, and I listened. His main issue wasn't that I dumped him but that, according to him, I had always flaunted that I was out of his league. For context, my family is technically well off, and they are mostly liberal. Children in my family aren't really taught rigid gender roles, and most relatives, especially my parents, never approve of their kids marrying into an ultra-religious family. I still don't understand how that made me flaunt anything. To sum it up, my ex said I made him feel like he was never good enough for me to marry him. He said that I clearly didn't love him enough to compromise and that he spent our entire relationship feeling inadequate because I acted like I was too good for his joint family, where wives and mothers are still expected to wake up at the crack of dawn because women. He added that his fiancée will always respect his mom, I never disrespected his mom, and that his mother said ultra-modern women don't make good wives. He also told me he felt like I was flaunting a picture-perfect life abroad and that he lost me because he wasn't born as privileged as I was, leaving him stuck here. After he finished, I didn't feel the need to explain anything more. It was okay. Honestly, it's kind of relieving to see that he's a bit of a red pill idiot and that I hadn't caused actual damage to a genuinely good person. The only part that stung was when he said I had a picture-perfect life abroad because I don't. It's a new country, a new culture, and a new language. While the quality of life may be better, and I have my good days, that doesn't mean I don't struggle. I miss my language, my home, and my parents a lot. Just because you post selfies in nice places doesn't mean life is all sunshine and roses, no matter what social media makes people think. Ultimately, it was relieving. I don't even know what closure truly means, but I think I got as close to it as I could. Technically, I'm doing well in life, all things considered, and I'll be okay, mostly. Thank you, everyone. You were all very kind in your replies, relevant comments. Commenter 1, sounds like he made himself inferior. He thought you were out of his league, so he assumed you must think that too. Be glad you dodged that bullet. His mother thinks that ultramodern women don't make good wives? Is that because they expect a man who can actually function like an adult instead of needing to be mothered while they work full-time, raise kids, and keep a spotless home? OP, his mom actually reminded me of the horrible mother-in-law from Marry My Husband, K-drama, sometimes. She was a nightmare. She treated his sister terribly and constantly spewed sexist norms that had nothing to do with our religion. Commenter 2, dude didn't love you enough to value you as a person, an equal, and a partner. He only saw you as someone to fulfill his needs. I wish you the best in life, and I hope his socks are always wet and his food is always the wrong temperature. Commenter 3, NTA. You did what you had to for your peace of mind, and that's what matters most. Closure isn't always clean or satisfying, but you managed to stand your ground and speak your truth, even if he didn't understand it. Keep flourishing, and let your personal growth be your real flex.